Hi, guys, and welcome to THFC, to Ladar, your home of Tottenham, past, present, future, and an exciting future under somebody. Either Ange Postecoglou, the Bournemouth manager, even polar bears, even Santa Claus himself. But who cares? We are Tottenham Hotspur. We're the greatest team in the world, and we're here to talk all about Spurs. And it is two Irish lads across the water who are probably the top two Irish Spurs channels in Ireland. Nobody can touch us. There is an argument who's number one, who's number two, and we'll have this argument all day long. But joining me is the number two Spurs fan, best Spurs channel in Ireland. As he shakes his head in disapproval at that point. Of course, he is the number one. I am number two. It is, of course, the man himself, Mr. Dave. Know everything about Spurs. Harris. How are you, Mr. Harris, this afternoon?
No, that I definitely don't, lad. I just out here, sharing my opinion, whether people like it or value it or not. It's another thing, but I'm out here sharing my opinion. Yeah, I'll keep them well, man.
Yeah, I've got to come up with a nickname for you, I have to come up with a nickname. It's like I've got a nickname for all the players. Like I'll call Bentancur the Uruguayan General. I'll call Ben Davies the Welsh Dragon. I'll call Ben Davies the Useless Article. I have to come up with a nickname for you. I have to think. Jack is Mr. Coldplay. That's his nickname. I've got to come up with one for you. I don't know what it is. Jack Charlton's in my head. The Boss sounds in my head. The Boss.
No.
Nickname the Boss. I think so. I reckon like if you were the manager, you'd be Jack Charlton. You'd be the boss, the gaffer. Yeah, this is a new podcast, which me and Dave hopefully will be doing every week. Just two Irish lads talking Spurs, all the latest news, all the latest gossip about the greatest club in the world and the club we love. Dave, international break, starting that very quickly. Ireland have won 2 games. I mean, shock horror. Sign us up for the World Cup. We're going to win the World Cup now. That's it. Ireland are back. Firstly, what's your thoughts on our new manager? And secondly, why the hell is that Doherty Egypt still playing for us? Seriously.
Yeah, look, when it comes to Matt Doherty, he tried to make a statement with him when it came to the last squad, didn't he? He ended up dropping him, leaving him out, and gave him his reasons why, because he wasn't performing well for Ireland for a long time, to be fair. But, look, he's found his way back in. He'd done all right over the international break, didn't really set the world alight or anything like that. But look, when it comes to Ireland, Dermo, because we got into a routine and a pattern of losing every single time we turned up. You turn up with your confidence strained, not expecting a lot. And we sort of seen that lack of belief to a large degree out on the football pitch. And he's had a massive job trying to sort of turn that around, help get a few results over the line. And I thought, what you could see in that Bulgaria game. Now, don't get me wrong, Bulgaria aren't the strongest competition. I think Northern Ireland slapped them up 5-1 before we played them. But Evan Ferguson looked like he was coming out of his shell a bit. Troy Parrott is starting to really come out of his shell up front. Adamida came off the bench and looked very, very confident. And you need strikers, and you need your strikers in form and in confidence to be able to score goals and help you win games. Now, the only thing that we really need to sort of get right now is that midfield. It's way too open. We can't really play through it. That's why Helgerson a lot of the time is looking to go a bit longer, because he knows you can't play through it. But also, when the ball's coming the other way, they don't actually really lay a finger on the opposition or turn the ball over too much. So for me, that's the next area that really needs to be sorted out for the Republic of Ireland. And if we can do that, then I think we can start being competitive again, because we've got very good goalkeeper choices. I think we've got good choices right across the back line. Fullbacks maybe a little bit iffy, but you can fill them in, with competent players. And also, last thing, Darmo, is we keep conceding goals in and around the edge of our box. That's been a common theme time and time again. We need to be more alert. If the manager can highlight that and get players to snuff that out, then, we can start getting wins on the board.
Yeah, we need a competition. You and me need to go competition. You and me need to go away and watch Ireland. I mean, the lads on tour. I mean, the IRISHHOTSPUR and THFC till I die on tour. They've never seen anything like it. Look, it's great, Dave. I'm delighted with the 2 wins. It is only Bulgaria, as you say, so we need to put that into perspective. But Troy Parrott did play well, actually, over the 2 games. And though did Evan Ferguson, to be fair. I thought the first goal against Bulgaria was a joke. We should never have conceded that. But look, it is what it is. We haven't been relegated to League C. We're still in League B, which is good for us. And I think we've got a chance of qualifying for this World Cup. 48 teams, why not? Do you know, let's believe. We're there. Ireland at a World Cup is a far better tournament than Ireland without it. But that's enough about Ireland. Let's talk about the greatest team in the whole world, which is Tottenham Hotspur. And Dave, look, it hasn't been the easiest season, has it, to be fair? We've had lots of ups and downs. We've had lots of traumatic times watching Tottenham. A lot about the manager. Is he right? Is he wrong? Doesn't pick this player, doesn't pick that player. But again, we've been linked with, not that one, sorry, with the Bournemouth manager. And also we've had the links of Pochettino as well. Look, I don't like it, Dave. I feel it undermines the manager. It doesn't matter if you support the manager or not support the manager. You still got to back him, don't you, while he's in the job? Are we undermining the manager here with linking with these other managers?
Yeah, 100% it's undermining Ange Postecoglou or any manager that was in charge when other managers are being linked to the job. But it's also sort of part of the game, right? Part of what you sign up for. If you're not doing well, and especially at the top level, you know, media will start linking other managers to the job, and it means you're under pressure then to deliver results and stuff like that. But look, when it comes to someone like Iriola, don't get me wrong. I think, you know, he's walked in, he's done a fantastic job at Bournemouth, right? You know, initially it wasn't going well. The board stuck by him, you know, and since then they've only ever looked one way, which is up, and they've done very, very well. But I'd argue their recruitment has also been very good for Iriola to a large degree as well, bringing in some players from across Europe with European experience, you know, maybe recruiting, maybe going and getting in recruitment that maybe they didn't really or couldn't really get under Eddie Howe. Under Eddie Howe, it was a lot more home-based recruitment and stuff like that. But you know, what confuses me is in the same breath you'll hear Postecoglou doesn't know how to see out results. You know, let's go and get Iriola. Well, Iriola threw a 2-0 lead away against us.
It did.
You know what I mean? And it's like, this is supposed to be one of the worst Tottenham teams, you know, that we've ever had. So it's sort of like, I find it a bit hypocritical to a certain degree. You know, he plays out from the back just like we do. He gets his team to press on the front foot just like we do, you know, try and force the issue. There's a lot of similarities between Iriola and Ange Postecoglou. I would argue their recruitment, especially over the summer, was better than ours. And I think that's what it all comes down to. And that's what I've argued all over the summer heading into this season. Don't hype the recruitment. Don't get hyped. It's going to come back and haunt us. It's going to come back and let us down to a large part this season.
Yeah.
And it has done. And for me, that's where I think the failure under Ange Postecoglou has been the recruitment. At Tottenham, we have this sort of notion that we can just sign, you know, bang average players and then get a manager to come in here and make up that 75% gap between the quality between the clubs that we're trying to chase and us. And that's not the case. You need good recruitment. The only reason why Arsenal went from where they were under Arteta to where they are now is because their recruitment and the amount of money that they've spent to get in the right caliber players. We're still chopping around in leagues that nobody else is. The Swedish second division, the K-League, leagues like that. No one else is shopping in them leagues bar us, and we're expecting our manager to be Harry Potter, Harry Houdini, you know, and bridge this massive gap. But your recruitment is absolutely essential, and that's where we've gone wrong under Ange Postecoglou.
Yeah, look, we can all criticize Postecoglou for his tactics. We can all criticize him for the mistakes he's made. And yes, he has made mistakes, but we know what he could do, Dave. We're both big Celtic fans, and we knew when he was coming in, if you get him the right players for his position, he would make it work. And our recruitment has been woeful. I was one of the people in the summer, like you, who said our recruitment wasn't good enough at the time, and it wasn't good enough. I got a show coming out. Did Tottenham set up Ange to fail?
Of course,
and I think they have. It's not him. It's not just him. There's Conte. There's Mourinho. There's Nuno. There's Pochettino. This man even can go back as far as AVB and Harry Redknapp. You can go back. They've never backed a manager. And you look at the season we had Paratici in. That 2 windows, Paratici. He bought in Kulu and he bought in Bentancur. Who did we bring in that summer? Vicario, Van de Ven, Romero. I think Romero, was it 3 summers Paratici had? I think it was 3 summers, wasn't it? But you look at the players: Romero, Vicario, Van de Ven, Udogi, Porro, Kulu, Bentancur. Quality top players from top leagues, Italian leagues, Spanish leagues, Portuguese leagues. All good players. Okay, we've had a few bad players from the Premier League. Basuma, who I think needs to go this summer. Get rid of him. But Lang has not done a good job. He didn't do a good job up at Villa, and he's not doing a job here. So the buck does stop with Levy. So does Levy need to push the boat out now this summer? If we do sack Ange Postecoglou, whoever he brings in, he's got them back and with the right players. And does that start with restructuring the recruitment team as well?
Well, look, this is where it goes a bit, pie in the sky, right? Because, Paratici's ban was forced on the football club. It's not like we said, Paratici, you leave and we have to go a different direction. But what they could have done is actually being smarter to a large degree. Yes, he's got his football ban, but, he could still advise Tottenham in an advisory role. So just don't bring in someone like Johan Lang then and still, or even Scott Munn, and just, let the directive be Paratici. And what they should have done is actually kept Gabbanini there throughout Paratici's ban, working off the Paratici remit, continuing on the project, and then, bringing Paratici back in above him when he comes back and his ban is up. That's where I think the club has gone wrong. Now, when we brought in Johan Lang, me and Jack actually done a video and we said, look, in terms of, European recruitment and big player recruitment, he's not going to be our guy. The one thing he did do well at Aston Villa was his homegrown recruitment. He did get that spot on. But I haven't seen massive improvements in that since he's joined Tottenham Hotspur. And, you look at Aston Villa, right? They got rid of him and they brought in Munchie from Sevilla. They paired the recruitment guy up with the manager. Look what Aston Villa are getting out of the project now. They're bringing in players like Asensio, players like that who, quite frank, we should be in the market for. But we're not, because this guy, Johan Lang, doesn't know how to, get in the room with these people, first of all, but second of all, get the deals over the line. We've seen that in January when we're scrounging around for a striker. Yet again, they're relying on Postecoglou to make a phone call to try and get this guy to sign on the dotted line, because they can't get the job done. So for me, you look at the way Aston Villa have kicked on since they got rid of this guy. Well, I mean, there's a massive reason why. And you look at how far we've fallen since we brought this guy in. I mean, for me, I'm not really too surprised. I do think that the recruitment has been the massive part of the problem. It's like anything, Dermo. If you want to go and win, you recruit well. Right now at Tottenham, we're hoping to pull off a Leicester City. But in mine, in your lifetime, how many times have we seen a Leicester City happen? Once. You know what I mean?
That's it.
But that's what we're hoping to pull off to a large degree. Go and pull in players from all these leagues that no one really knows about, players that no one really knows about, gel a team and go on and win a Premier League. But that's only happened once in my lifetime. The rest of it, it is about having the right players to go and compete.
I mean, I was watching a podcast the other day, Dave, and somebody said something about Alex Ferguson at the time. If he wanted a Declan Rice, traitor, as I will call him, traitor Declan Rice, and also Harry Kane, he would have went out and got them. He would have broken the bank. He would have said, right, he would have said to the club, I want them players. Get them in now. Does Ange Postecoglou or any manager like a Pochettino, we had that with Pochettino, didn't we? Where he didn't want any players when David Pleat said that on TalkSport the time when he was in there, which I don't believe, by the way. I think that's a load of BS by David Pleat. And Pochettino did want players to improve the squad. We all know that. But is it down to the manager as well to say, hang on a minute, I want these players, get them in? Or is the role changed since Alex Ferguson could do that?
But the thing is, these managers are sitting there asking for what they want. I've listened to Sam Allardyce and David Moyes, before he went back in at Everton, sort of come out and do interviews, and they've been asked about the recruitment teams. And they've sort of said, it's like, look, we go to them, we say to them what we need, what we're looking for. We even give suggestions of players. But, they'll come back with, well, this is what we can afford. This is the bracket we're shopping in. So you have a say between any of these. And sometimes they might not want any. And like, you know what? I've got better here. But then all of a sudden, these players are arriving through the door. And they haven't necessarily co-signed, said they wanted them, etc. And you are seeing that at clubs now where director of footballs. And the reason why most clubs are operating like that is because they want to move away from where the manager has the full say over the transfer budget and, what players are coming in and out, especially if they're going to be hiring and firing them. And at the end of the day, with the amount of money that you're paying for players and the wages, it was always going to veer like that, where the players more or less, sort of have the power over the managers. And I think that's where I think we've gone wrong. I think you look at the clubs that are doing well over the last few years, you know, they still operate sort of off the old way of looking at it, where they're bringing in players for the manager. Look what Man City have done. Pep Guardiola has full control. You know, no player comes in without he says so, especially to that first team, and no player goes out without he says so. Jurgen Klopp at Liverpool. Look at Arteta at Arsenal. You know, they're giving the manager the power to make these decisions. He has to go, this is who I want in, and they're reaping the benefits of it. We've sort of gone down a method that a lot of clubs are using, but it's not really being successful. You know, at the end of the day, a manager has to be the one to make the calls. He has to be able to stamp his authority over the squad. If players know that that manager ain't going to be there, anytime he does try to get tough on him, anytime he does try to stamp his authority, they're just looking at him and going, jog on, buddy. We'll get you out this door tomorrow. And that can't keep continuing. And at some point at Tottenham Hotspur, we have to give the manager what they're looking for. Now, granted, I understand we ain't going to bring in £100 million players. But, you know, just ask the manager what they want. No one's telling me that Jose Mourinho demanded £500-600 million players, knowing that Tottenham's not the club to do that. Same with Conte, same with Nuno, same with Postecoglou. But what they are doing to them is shortchanging them and bringing in players that are way below the expectation of what they're looking to come in here. Like Joe Rodon under Jose Mourinho. No one could tell me that Jose Mourinho said, yeah, go and get me this kid from Swansea in the Championship. He's going to be what I need going forward. It's absolutely madness. And then we get into a point then where it's, oh, the manager has to make it work. And it's like, but if you look at the clubs that we're trying to compete with, the manager ain't making it work.
No, it's
not. Giving
him
what he needs.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Dave. Look, with Postecoglou, I just feel with everything since the injuries, he's just been undermined at the club by everyone. I think he's been undermined by the press. I think he's been undermined by the players. I think he's been undermined by Levy as well, because it keeps being something's leaking out. Somebody's leaking out what's happening within the club. Yeah. And we've had this before under other managers. Now, look, results ain't good enough. Nowhere is it good enough to be in 15th place. And you and me can both agree we shouldn't be there. I know really sure Man United should be there either, to be fair. If we're being honest with ourselves, there's two big clubs in the wrong end of the table, and that's us and Man United. But we have the financial clout to get out of it. Man United don't. And we choose not to use that financial clout to get ourselves out of it and buy the players that the manager wants. We could go out and spend up to 400 million against FFP and still be fine. But we choose not to do that. We choose to build a go-kart track. We choose to do more entertainment around the stadium. And I just feel, Dave, as much as I love my club has changed so much from when I was a kid watching Tottenham Hotspur to what it is now. But maybe football's changed as well from when I was a kid to what it is now, Dave. Maybe football. And you see Villa, they're doing concerts in the summer. They're having Black Sabbath at Villa Park in the summer. Newcastle doing the same. So in one way, Daniel Levy has sort of been the first to do this. Other clubs are now following his model. But you lose the football side of it, though, don't you?
No, but the thing is, I don't think anybody has a problem with the concerts, the boxing. Everyone's smart enough to understand it's additional revenue coming in for the football club. No problem with that side of things, trying to maximize as much income. But the difference with Aston Villa, the difference with Newcastle went and brought the likes of Isaac, Tonali, Gimenez, statement players. Yeah. Aston Villa now are bringing in the likes of your Asensios and players like that. What are we bringing in with our money? Going out to the K-League, going out to the Swedish second league. You know what I mean? There's a massive difference for what these clubs are doing with the money compared to what we are. And that's where the unsettlement comes in at Tottenham. Yeah. No one has a problem with all the additional revenue and extra revenue streams. Everyone understands it. But the problem is we're not seeing it translated into the football side, whereas other clubs are doing it. And that's what's pissing people off.
Yeah, it is. And look, we got lucky with Bergville and we got lucky with Archie Gray, because Bergville could have turned out a completely different player, by the way. And he's turned out to be exceptional this year. I think Bergville, outstanding plays for me this season is Jed Spence, Bergville, and Archie Gray. The three of them have been absolutely exceptional. A lot of the senior players could look at them three young lads and take a few notes, like a James Madison, like a Basuma, like like a Romero sometimes as well, by the way, as much as I love Romero. And I know we had this debate the other night about Romero, Dave, about we need to keep him. And I do agree what your points you're making. We do need to keep him. And we need to build a team around him and Van der Ven. But when it comes to the summer, Paratici's ban is up. There's been links with him going to AC Milan. There is a report out today. Now, I've got a voice note from my source, which I haven't listened to yet, which I think it is about Paratici, that Tottenham are pulling out all the stops to keep Paratici at the club. Levy's throwing everything at it. Now, from my understanding is he wants to stay at Tottenham, the latest I heard. He doesn't want to go to AC Milan. He wants to build it at Tottenham, and he wants to finish the job he started. Brilliant. What can Paratici do to either, A, keep Postecoglou in his job, if he does stay in the summer? Does Postecoglou need a Paratici transfer window? Because he didn't get that.
It's interesting because, there was a report out earlier on in the week that it was Levy that chose Postecoglou and that Paratici wanted to go and bring in the guy at PSG, and that was the guy he initially wanted. But saying that, you just even look at the first transfer window we had under Postecoglou with Paratici and Gabbiadini there compared to every window since. Van der Ven came in that window, Vicario came in that window, Madison, players like that. And look at every window we've had since. So straight away, there's a massive disparity in terms of the recruitment. The first season we finished 5th, okay, time to build on it. Didn't do it. In that January when we needed help before the season ended, didn't do it. This January, Postecoglou needed help. We went and brought in a lot more kids. We're not learning our lessons in this, in terms of recruitment. And I don't think it's a case that we're not learning our lessons to a certain degree that, I just think we can't get in the players that we're looking to bring in. Yeah. And that we end up resulting to, let's just get a guy in anyway because we need a guy in that position. And we end up going younger because that's all that Johan Lang can bring to the club. I say that Johan Lang can sell the Premier League dream to people. But what he can't sell is Tottenham. And I think that's the difference with Paratici. He was able to sell the club. And for me, bring him back in, get back on top of the recruitment and keep heading in the direction we were heading in before his ban because we were starting to improve.
We were. I mean, look, under Postecoglou, this week it's come out, and I've heard reports as well, and it's been out in the media that he needs to win the Europa League to stay, Dave. Look, as I said, I know I love Postecoglou. We've seen him up at Celtic. We're both Celtic fans. We know what he can do. If he does lose his job, if he does leave in the summer, where do you want Tottenham to go for our next manager? Do you want a young manager? Do you want a manager like Conte style type manager? I mean, we complained about the football we were watching under Conte. You, me, went to the AC Milan game, Dave. We both admit the players weren't playing for the manager that night. And I don't think we saw it then. But I think if you look back at it now, there weren't. We all complained about the football under Conte. We're now fans are complaining about the football under Postecoglou. We're never happy. Where do we go from here? I mean, there is the takeover as well, Dave, which we hearing I've been hearing will happen before the start of next season. We heard that Levy will be bought out, or ENIC will be bought out, and Levy will be left there as a minority stakeholder, as an advisor to the new board, to the new owners. What do you want Tottenham Hotspur to be this time next season, or the start of next season? Who do you want in? And people in the comments as well. Put your comments in the comments below. Who do you want in? Does Postecoglou deserve another season? He has got a 4-year contract. Do you stick by him? Does a new owner come in and say, right, I want my own man? Who do you pick? And where do you want Spurs to be at the start of next season?
Look, when it comes to Postecoglou, Jack, or sorry, Dermo, and this is where I don't really, this is where I struggle to blame the manager.
Jack's better looking than me, Dave. Jack's
that's true. That's true. Yeah, Jack's got the youthful looks. But look, when it comes to Tottenham Hotspur and the managers, I always say this: we don't hire bad managers at this football club. But we do bad practices underneath them in terms of trying to cheap out on the recruitment and stuff like that. And that's where things always go wrong. Jose Mourinho was a world-renowned manager before he came to Tottenham. And when he left Tottenham, went on and won a Europa Conference League with Roma, we got dumped out of. People weren't happy, wanted him gone, said he was too old for football. You know, when Nuno come in, he was gone by October. People just weren't having him. Look what he's gone on and done. He's went out to Saudi and won a trophy. And look what he's doing with Nottingham Forest now, competing for Champions League football. You know, you look at Antonio Conte. Look what he's doing with Napoli now. But, you know, people were saying his way of playing is outdated, etc., etc. He wants to play on the front foot football. Now we've got that. Now fans don't want that. It's too on the front foot football, etc., etc. When are we going to learn our lesson? Our squad is not as good as people think it is going into the seasons, and that's why we are failing. The managers come in here, most of them second season syndrome, they end up carrying the sack. And that's why I say to people, you can sit here and make everything Postecoglou's fault all you want, but you've done the same under Conte, Nuno, and Jose Mourinho. At what point do you say we got to stop, you know, going through the same cycle, the same patterns, and go, at what point do you look at where the club are going wrong underneath these guys? We almost fall into trap where we expect them to be Harry Houdini. A workman is only as good as the tools you give him to work with, Dermo.
That's true.
You give him better tools, you're going to get the job done more efficiently and to a higher standard. You give him shit tools, the job's going to take twice as long, and it's not going to be as high as a standard. It's just the way it is. So
it is.
Look, with me, where I'm at with Postecoglou right now is I know what this guy can do. I know what he can bring. I look at the rapport he's had with the Celtic fans, the football they were playing, but they gave him 19 players to work with. They completely transformed that squad for him to go and work with. And a lot of them players were some of the best players. You know, although there were a lot of unknowns, by the end of the season, they were best players in Scotland and stuff like that. So, you know, they brought in quality players for him to work with at Tottenham. You know, we're asking him to go and compete with Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, and teams like that, and then go and recruit from every obscure league across world football. It's absolutely madness. It can't be done. So where I'm at now, Dermo, is honestly, I'm going to wait and see what the club do. My feeling is, if he goes out the Europa League before the final, then the club have a decision to make.
Yeah.
Off the back of that, whatever decision they choose, I'll go with. If they choose to sack him and go with someone else, I'll disagree with it, and I'll say, look, Postecoglou ain't as bad as you're all making him out to be, but I'll go with it. If they decide to keep him, and Paratici's coming back in the summer, and
let's go.
I'll also back it, because I do believe Paratici will give Postecoglou better players to work with. Yeah. So for me, that's the way I'm going to go with it. In terms of, you know, if they do sack him, what manager they want in the door. Honestly, Darmo, I'm at the point now, I don't care. I'll let everyone else sit there and give all the names and all the reasons why they should come in, how great they are. Because the reality is, even the first season, you know, we'll probably have initial bounce. We might go up and finish again in the European spot. Everyone gets carried away. Second season, it goes wrong. They end up getting sacked, you know. So for me, I'm actually just going to sit back, wait, see how they get on in the second season. If they can prevail through that with shining colours, then I'm like, right, let's bloody go. But until then, just got to sort of sit back and wait and see what happens, because honestly, it ain't the manager's fault what's going on at Tottenham. Even the injuries, everyone wants to blame Postecoglou for the injuries. No one wants to talk about the medical department. Josh Scott walking away and not replacing them. You know, the amount of players going outside the club to seek treatment. I've heard of it before for specialist injuries, but not some of the injuries that our players have and how frequent they're looking to go outside. You know, they're telling you the medical department's in a mess, everything else. But yeah, everyone still wants to make everything the manager's fault.
I think, look, with me, Dave, look, we as I said before, we know what he can do. And we saw what when he went into Celtic. Celtic was a mess. It was a mess, Dave, and it was. And I feel sorry for Postecoglou in a way, because Tottenham have shortchanged him in a way too. But as we know, it's a results business, Dave. Football is a results business. If you're not getting the results, there's going to be pressure on you, either by fans or by the media. And I think the media have a lot of way to play in this as well. And I think also, look, this is no dig at Postecoglou, please, it's not. But I think his reaction with some of the fans when they've had to go at him and him turning around and having to go back, I think that hasn't helped him. Managers, I've said it before on the stream, managers get abused daily, week in out at games, up and down the country. Every manager does. And I think Postecoglou should have just walked away, ignored it, and walked away. We know some fans can be idiots. We know some fans can be absolute gobshites. So I think that's the only slight complaint I have on Postecoglou, to be fair, Dave. I
It's
think
pressure, though, isn't it, though,
it
Darmo?
is pressure.
When you're hearing it from the media every time, you go in every week and you're facing the same questions, and usually them questions are coming off a narrative of what the Spurs fan base is sort of talking about. When you've got how many injuries and you keep trying to say to people, I've got 11 first team players out, do you not take that into account? It becomes draining. It starts messing up your head, and it becomes that pressure cooker. And eventually, like a pressure cooker, right? It releases and allows steam to release. And that's what a manager's going to do as well, Dermo. And I do agree with what you're saying, though, about the media. Like, when Eddie Howe had all his injuries at Newcastle, they sat there, they continued hammering away at the injuries, how great Eddie Howe is pummeling through these injuries and stuff like that. As soon as it's a Tottenham manager, I've got to do better, got to look at this, got to look at that, everything else, madness.
What can he do? I always said it, and I say it again, and I'm saying it in the show I'm doing a pre-record on this. I think Saturday it'll be out. Postecoglou is managing Tottenham with one hand tied behind his back. That is my view. Look, I support Tottenham to the end of the season. Frankfurt is a massive game for us, Dave. Whatever happens, it defines our season. If they back Postecoglou, I will back Postecoglou. If they do sack up, I'm in your boat. Just whatever happens. I just want the team to do well, but I don't like this idea of this manager. Pitch has been taken with Levy and Pochettino. I think it undermines the manager at Tottenham. I think it undermines his authority within the team as well. The players saying, "Well, he's going to be sacked, so why do I bother?" I think it's awful, and the way he's been treated, I think it's not good enough. But Dave, just very quickly, I need you to give me 2 minutes of my time for everyone to please look at our channel sponsor, which is Private Internet Access. It is one of the best out there. It's €45 for 2 years, plus 4 months free for the best. So no more Saturday blackouts. You can watch your favorite movies. Me and Dave could be watching something, and we could be with Jack, as Dave says, Jack in America, or with my mate Tequila or Colin in England. It doesn't matter. But here's a little video from our resident Irish actor, Colin O'Connor. He's been very famous in films in Two Left Feet. Also, he was in the film called I Shrunk Arteta. That was a major big film. That was his breakthrough. And also the biggest film he starred in was I Love a Waterfall at Old Trafford. Here is Connor. He's going to kill me for that. Here is Connor McConnor. We're telling you why VPN, Private Internet Access, is the best VPN in the land.
Let me talk to you. A little reference there. But I'm going to stop messing about. I'm going to talk to you about Private Internet Access, the best VPN in the land. Now, when you're online, you may not realize, but all of your data is there for the taking by anybody. With a VPN such as Private Internet Access, your data is safe and secure, streamlined, and nobody else can get hold of it. That's why I use one anyway. VPN's very easy to use. Private Internet Access, all you got to do is log on your phone, select where you want to be. So I want to be in America, and I click go, and there we are. You can also link up your devices to it from your phone if that is easier for you. It's available on a lot of platforms as well. As you can see, you can use it for a very, very big range of things. So that's even better as well. You can use it, like I said, on all your devices, smartphone, tablets, gaming consoles, and stick it on your modem. And it's unlimited devices. One equals all. It's available all across the world, and it works perfectly. What they do is they mask your IP address, so pesky 3 o'clock kickoffs aren't an issue anymore, and they're independently audited, so there's no logs, 30 million customers, and 4.5-star Trustpilot rated excellent review. Private Internet Access. Get yours now.
And as I said, guys, it is €45 for 2 years plus 4 months free. If you use the code and the description below, it would help us great. You're helping them, you're helping us keep doing what we're doing. And also get over to Dave's as well. He has a one with NordVPN as well. And do click on that for Dave as well, because it helps him out as well. Us Irish channels have to stick together. as we always do. Dave, last comment. We're coming to the end of the season, the sad time for us because you me go mental in the summer because there's no football. We either got Ireland or cricket, which I can't see you me sitting watching the cricket match. I just have visions of you now saying to Mrs. Irish Hotspur, just stick another bit, stick a Lucozade in the fridge. I'm just watching this bit of 1-day cricket international. I just couldn't see it. And Mrs. Irish Hotspur was saying, get up your fucking ass and get on with some work, Dave. Right. I know I've spelled it wrong. I know, lads. Dyslexia is a bitch. Don't worry about it. I will get over it. How many points can Spurs get in the running? Now, Dave, this is the running. We do have Chelsea. We're away to Chelsea on Thursday, and then at Southampton. Then we've got the 2 Frankfurt games, Wolves and Liverpool. So start from the top to the bottom. How many points do you think we get in the Premier League? And then the Frankfurt games, how do you think they're going to go?
Yeah, look, Chelsea away is going to be difficult. Always has been, notoriously has been. But I'd like to think, we can take a point from there. And they're not exactly in the greatest of forms right now either. So let's see how we turn up. One thing I will say is no matter what form Chelsea are in, they always turn up against Tottenham. Yeah. Southampton, look, I would argue, don't get me wrong, new manager, be a bit more difficult, but we should be beating them. Wolves, again, I know they cause us trouble. I know we find it difficult against them notoriously. But again, I would like to think we should beat them. Liverpool is going to be a different animal. I think, heading for the Premier League, I think that day, if they beat us, they could actually win the Premier League on that day. So, again, that's going to be a tricky one. But look, we all know the biggest games is the Frankfurt games. Yeah. That's the one where Postecoglou's focus is on, the players' focus seems to be on. And Jed Spence thinks we can win it. So look, I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I think it is going to be a nervy game. But, we, as good as Frankfurt can be, we can also be good as well. So let's wait and see on that one, Darmo. But, look, I want us to get through. I hope we can get through. I think we can get through. And then let's take it from there. But that's our biggest games this season. I would go, maybe 6 to 7 points from them. Premier League games would be nice. And then Europa League semi-final. Final, Bert, that would be brilliant.
Yeah, for me, I think we can get a point at Chelsea. I think we can beat Southampton. That's 4. I think we can win at Wolves. So that's 4. That's 7. Now, what worries me, 1982, I think, was the last time Liverpool beat us and won the league on the same day. And I remember Glenn Hoddle scoring a screamer that day from outside the area, right in the top corner. They did beat us 2-1 that day. Look, I don't think we're going to get anything. We never win at Anfield. Last time we won at Anfield, Moses was a baby. So I'm going for what am I going for? 6, 7. I'll go for 7 points plus defeat. I think we will beat Frankfurt as well, Dave. Very quickly on the Frankfurt game, should the second game be at home? Do you think, is there a mistake here? Because usually the second leg is always at home, isn't it, for us? Are you worried about it being away?
Well, look, it's the way the draw is, with the second leg being away. It's like that for the quarters and the semi-final to a large degree. Look, some would argue, you look at the Vitesse game, we didn't do well away from home, but, we've done the job at home. And you look at our European away record on the multiple managers, it's not the best. It's not the greatest. No. So some would argue maybe having the home leg might actually help us to a large degree first, and that's where hopefully you can sort of get the job done. And then you're going away from home. It's never done when it's Tottenham Hotspur, but it gives you a massive chance. So I'm actually okay with it. I don't mind. To be honest, Darmo, I don't really care what way they're drawn. It's 2 legs. You get one home game, one away game, and the whole idea remains the same. You don't give them much away from home, and you try and win it at home.
Well, the last time we won the UEFA Cup in 84, Dave, I've said it before, we won the Dutch side and the German side on the way to winning that championship. We've already beaten the Dutch side and the German side. Omens, Dave, omen. And also in 72, we actually beat an Italian side in the 72. Was it 70? Yeah, 71-72 when we beat Wolves in the final. We beat an Italian side in the semi-final, beat AC Milan. I think we drew 2-2 at home. Steve Perryman with 2, and we've got a draw away in the San Siro. Omens again.
Well, look, let's wait and see what happens.
Me and my omens. Do you know who see Tottenham for the Europa League? It's going to happen, Dave. You, me, and Bilbao living it up large. Anyway, Dave, these are the final few games. Of course, we've got them lovely people from East London. I know they love you down there, but nothing against West Ham. Lovely team. We've got Palace at home, which we're at, Dave. Which we are at. We'll have to hold Dave back because he may run onto the pitch and chase a few of these players around. The Pasuma's playing. You could see him. Fucking play. You could see him on the. He'd be doing Postecoglou from the touchlines. What was that game you were at, Dave? And you said if they didn't play well, you were storming the pitch. Do you remember?
No, I can't remember that.
AC Milan. That was at AC Milan, looking for a lock of Harry Kane's hair. Or was that Brighton away when he kicked the Coke bottle? No, it was
Brighton away when he kicked the Coke bottle.
Yeah. We've got Aston Villa away, and then we are home to Brighton. A few London derbies in there, Dave. West Ham away is never easy, as we know. It's their cup final. We've got Palace at home, the game we're at. Do you think that might get moved, by the way, the Palace game?
Well, look, if we do beat Frankfurt, you've got your semi-finals to schedule in and around then games. So, at the end of the day, you still got to play them. But, you'll have semi-finals dumped in there if we do get through, which probably, alters, what teams you put out in these games and stuff like that. But, look, you'd like to think we should beat Palace at home. We owe them one. Yeah. You'd like to think we can still beat West Ham. Brighton at home again is another one that we usually do well, and we usually beat them at our place. So for me, look, it is what it is. To be honest with you, Dermot, look, I want to finish as high as we possibly can in the Premier League. I'd like us to win every game, but everyone's eggs are in the Europa League, and that's really what matters between now and the end of the season. That's, I could sit here and say I want this amount of points, but the reality is if you get into a semi-final, a lot of them games will be fucked off to a large degree.
Yeah. So if you are just banter with me, how many points would you give? Just if you just out of 10. Do you know what? I actually probably agree with you. I think the difficult game out of that, I think it's going to be Villa away, to be fair, Dave. I think Villa could be looking for a Champions League. And the way the league is going out this season, 10th, I think 9th could get you Conference League this year. 9th or 10th could get you Conference League. So, there's a lot to play for, Dave, in the league. Yeah, I don't think we should give up in the league just yet. I think there's a lot to give up. But Dave, thank you so much for coming on. Hopefully we can make this a regular thing. I really enjoy your company. Always have a good laugh doing it. As I said, you were the channel to give me the confidence to do what I do. And so you are the godfather of this channel. You are the hefty heights we all aim to aspire to be. Do you want to tell people where they can find you? No, that your channel needs no introduction. It really doesn't. But if people haven't heard about the mighty Irish Hotspur, the King of Kildare, there you go. There's your nickname, the King of Kildare. Just come to me, the King of Kildare. Where can people find you, sir?
Yeah, you can find me over at the Irish Hotspur. You just type in Irish Hotspur, and you should see some of my videos or whatever. Have a listen and make your mind up.
Now, Dave, thank you much. This will be going up in the podcast world as well. So this will be going on Spotify. This will be going on to other podcasts. So that will be going next few days. Please like and subscribe. We are back tonight. Me and Philip are back tonight on our political channel with talking over the week's politics. Me and Philip will be talking about the Doyle row over the talking rights. We're going to talk about Philip Brady's favourite person, Donald Trump. We all know he loves a bit of Trump. And then I'm back tomorrow at 8 o'clock with a show with Have Tottenham Set Up Ange to Fail, with Lang, with Levy as well, Paratici, all the latest news. Any breaking news on Paratici, you get it here first, of course, on THFC Till I Die. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscription button if you can. And also, thank you all for watching. And thank you for the kind messages over the last few days. I've had a few messages. Thank you so much. I'm not here Sunday on Monday because it's Mrs. Chon's birthday. She's hit the big 5-0. So we're already celebrating for a few days. I'm going to be recovering Tuesday with a hangover because I'm old. I will be back Wednesday with the build-up. On Dave's Thursday, of course, with his build-up show and the watch-along. And then we're all building up to the games at the weekend. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Come on, you Spurs. In the kids we trust. We never stop. Tottenham always has been and will be the greatest club in the world. Come on, you Spurs. From lane to far and wide, with the pride of the fight on this journey.